You want me to
All
keep
right.
the family stuff low? Or
You can do it whatever you want. All right, everybody. Welcome to Knuckle Sandwich. We have a very special guest today, and I'm going to let him introduce himself because he's got too many titles and too many skill sets for me to even try to remember. So I'm going to let you take over. Tell everybody who you are, and then we're going to go in and start talking about UFC 252 because it's going to be a big.
252, the trilogy. I'm Ardash Zubin. This is my uncle Alex, that most people don't know here in Texas. But I'm have my master's in exercise physiology. I work with nutrition for medically controlled medicine, get you off your medication, like diabetes. I do strength and conditioning with athletes. I do everything in the fitness realm pretty much. But
And
I
you,
know the body from a cellular, molecular level, as well as a Special Olympics coach.
And that's what I was just going to bring up because you work with special needs athletes too. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Correct. We have the largest delegation of Special Olympic athletes in the state of Texas. And it's basically just one awesome, it is the epitome of sportsmanship. Those guys are competitive as they can get.
And I really like the way you said that, though, the epitome of sportsmanship, because first of all, in order to coach people like that, you got to have a lot of patience. You got to have a lot of love for the not only for the athlete, but for the sport itself and what you're trying to teach them to accomplish, to bring them up levels, just like everybody else.
That's everybody else, yeah.
Yeah,
That key word.
they want to get better too, right?
Actually, created a powerlifting team to help the healthy, because a lot of our special needs aren't very healthy in foster homes and things like that. So one day of track meets and things like that weren't cutting it. So I created a little delegation of my own, which my head lady, she's been around since the very first Special Olympics. She was kind of mad at me, but in that environment, she's kind of old school, yo. I was like, you have to be calm with them.
Well,
Because we compete with the big boys, the USA powerlifting.
and that's awesome. I think it's a very commendable that you do that, and thank you for helping those special needs athletes because you know I just think it's pretty awesome.
I think it's pretty awesome, but I think it's more sometimes for myself. Like those guys just keep moving on. You know how my little sisters,
Oh yeah,
just joy to be around.
yeah, they are. Yeah, both of them. They're awesome. All right, my friend. Well, we are going to talk. We're here to talk, and I
Yes.
invited Arash to join us today because of his love for MMA. In fact, he's starting to train, doing some jujitsu, some Muay Thai. You're doing some combat sports stuff.
I've always done it and coached it, but now I'm involved in it.
All right. Well, good.
But I
Like I
have the
said,
right,
now you got to tell everybody what you told me that you're going to be challenging Conor McGregor in the future.
just because I know your love for, but that meant everything.
That's awesome, man.
To have you, both, or if I was in the ring with him, to have you rooting for me, that means family love. So
That's
that
right.
was awesome.
And I'd be in your corner. Okay,
You,
so let's talk
you
about.
still owe me a shot of that proper 12 and ran out the door.
There you go. Well, let's talk about UFC 252, MIOCIC versus Cormier 3. What I like to do is I like to work from the bottom up, and then we'll kind of go through and give our opinions and give our thoughts on the fight and the matchups and everything like that. But we just want to do the main card today. And I want to start off.
It's a doozy.
Start off one lower than the main card because we had one drop out due to COVID-19.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kubalaba, I believe his name is.
Was that Junior's opponent?
No, it was two other guys, and he had to pull out because of COVID-19. So we'll start off with Jim Miller versus Vince Pichelle. and I'm a huge Jim Miller fan. He's been around forever. He's got like 47 fights or something like that.
I love the Miller brothers.
You know the Millers?
Yeah, the Miller brothers are insane. What's the he was on the Ultimate Fighter, one of the first ones.
Yeah.
With Joe Lozon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, the Miller brothers are little wiry, and they've been in the sport forever, like you said.
Well, you know, he's actually starting to come into his own. He's on a winning streak now because he's been battling lupus for many, many years, and it's affected his fighting game. But now I've watched some interviews with him where he's starting to manage the lupus better. And man, this dude is like, he's been rejuvenated, reborn, and he's coming out looking really strong.
I can see that. I did not know that because I have a similar autoimmune neurological disorder.
So he's managing it, and you know that should be right in your wheelhouse too, because of how you manage the health of athletes and stuff. But he's his record currently is 32-14, and Vince Pichelle is 12-2. So he's a lot greener than
I know Pichelle.
Miller. Yeah, and you know what's your thoughts on this matchup here?
Well, now that I did not know all that information on Miller, but just the experience in the jiu-jitsu, I think those guys, I mean, Pichelle's a monster, but he's young. If he can make it his game, I think Miller has it, but we'll see what youth and if the doctors and them got this situation figured out.
Well, I think I'm going to go with Miller. I am a fan of Miller's. Pichelle is really good on the ground as well. I think it's going to be a ground game. I don't think they're going to be standing, but I think the grappling exchanges it's going to be a very competitive match. But I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb, and I'm going to pick Jim Miller just because of his recent fights and how good he's looked.
His ground game's always been good, and that experience does help, and those long limbs too.
That's right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now, the next one, we got John Dotson versus Merab Velishvili, and they're both little dudes. I think.
What's little?
I think they're short. I think they're both maybe like 5'2" or something like that.
Oh, dang.
But John Dotson's record currently is 21-11, and Merab is 11-4.
No, I know Dotson. He's been around for a little while. I don't know Merab though.
Yeah, he's a really good grappler. Those guys. Dotson, I watched an interview on him just recently. He said he's going to knock this dude out.
No, he's a striker, more so, no, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's really good at evading, stuffing takedowns. He's really good at scrambling out of situations where he's not on the ground very long. If you do take him down,
must be a wrestling background.
Yeah, but Merab, he's really good on the ground though. So if anybody can hold Dotson down, Merab can. And
yes, starting my journey.
Dotson has lost his last two.
I have seen that.
Yeah, and he's looking good. But Merab, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick him because he seems to be fresher. John Dotson's always in great shape. I mean, there's nothing you can complain about there. But Merab, I think he's going to want it more. I think it's a matter of who wants it more.
That's also one of the problems, I think, when you get to the main event, why he was dethroned by Cormier coming up. When you're on top, sometimes you lose that hunger, but I don't know, maybe Dotson wants it more being on that losing streak too. He's my dude.
He looked really confident in his interview. He said he was going to knock him out, and that's what he was going for. He's not going to leave it in the judge's hands.
You never should.
And then next up we have Herbert Burns versus Daniel Panetta. And Herbert
Nice.
Burns, if you're familiar with him, he's the younger brother of Gilbert Burns, who's the #1 contender.
And I know the Panettas very well, the name. But yeah, Gilbert, I don't know much about him.
Herbert is his current record is 11-2, and Daniel is 26-13. So Daniel has a lot more experience, but he's coming. He hasn't been in fought for the UFC for probably 3 or 4 years.
Who's this? Who hasn't fought for the UFC in that many years?
No, he went to PFL and he was on a winning streak, but they found out he was tested for some illegal drugs, and they stripped him. He won 2 fights in a single night, I believe, and they stripped him of both fights because he tested positive.
Was it a Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Was Dotson in another venue organization for a little while, or has he always been?
No, because he started off in Ultimate Fighter as well. John Dotson did.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
that's the Dobson. I was thinking Dobson.
Yeah, but Herbert Burns, he's a really good jiu-jitsu guy, just like his brother. They're both killers on the mat. Daniel Panetta, they just recently signed him for this fight. Yeah, I don't know if they had somebody drop out or what happened, but
no, he's a young up and comer.
But he had some issues as far as being. I think they banned him from fighting for 2 years or something like that too, because of that.
That's kind of funny because everybody's doping.
You're starting to sound like Nate Diaz.
It's the truth. Everybody thinks, like, you met Jen, her physique, when in Invicta, it was bad because all the girls complained she was so muscular. Then as soon as she made that jump to the UFC, he's like, we're on call like a doctor. Like, is it Asana that does the drug testing?
Yep.
Like, you gotta go. You gotta go.
And it's all surprise testing.
But I don't understand how these people get caught, and then like Canelo, he gets caught right back in the ring.
Yep.
But
yeah, I think UFC is definitely a lot more strict too. They're pretty strict on that.
That's why GSP left.
Yeah. Yep. Well, he may be back to fight Habib. We'll see.
I hope. I don't know. Habib, poor dad.
Yeah, that was a bad deal. Bad deals because they were so close.
He was meant a lot for the sport too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna pick Herbert Burns because his last fight he looked really good. Got a lot of confidence going in, and Daniel Panetta being out, not fighting for such a long time. I think the ring rust might factor in a little bit.
But how many fights does he have?
He's got 26 wins and 13 losses for Daniel Panetta.
Where's he out of? I know him.
I don't know where he's out of. I don't know.
I'm saying there's so many up and comers.
Yeah, this dude's been around for a while. You might be thinking of somebody else because this guy's been around. He's a grizzled veteran. He looks young though.
Well, that's what these main card early fights sound like. They have a guy with like a half and half record and a guy with 11-2, 13-1. So they're matching old school with new school.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think as I look at that, I think you're right. Because look, the very next fight, Junior Dos Santos versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Junior Dos Santos is 21-7. And Rosenstrike is 10-1. So we do have young blood versus old school.
Hey, I'm gonna root for the old man. No.
Are you going for Junior?
I always go for Junior.
Here's my take on Junior Dos Santos. If he stays off the fence, he does really well because he's forced to move. But when he gets pushed against the fence and bullied against the fence, he always takes his overhand right, man. And Cain Velasquez started beating him that way, and he beat him twice.
Kane's a monster.
Cain is a monster, but
Junior kind of had like a wavy career.
Yeah, because he beat Cain the first time,
and then he just disappeared, and then he came back because the heavyweight division this is probably to bring the heavyweight back to almost like the Muhammad Ali, Frazier days. We didn't have good heavyweight fights till now.
Yeah. Because you got Ngannou, you got some good heavyweights now, and so Junior, but he was the champ, so you can't ever take that away. Once you get that belt, you can't take it away, regardless of if it's been a long time. But he still seems really hungry, and he's lost a lot of weight too.
Yeah, fitness will play a huge factor, especially if you're not having to massively cut, which he's not. He's a heavyweight. He's fighting heavyweight, right?
Yep. And then you got Rosenstrike, and he's the one that Ngannou took out in about 45 seconds.
I saw that one.
Of course, Ngannou took out Junior Dos Santos in about 45 seconds too.
That just tells you one thing. That's what the beauty of the heavyweight. The fans want to show a knockout.
Yep. And
those heavy hands.
When I saw that fight, when I saw Ngannou and Rosenstrike, I had no idea how it was going to go, because they both bull rush you, and throw those big bombs. But I don't know what it was, but Ngannou rushed across the cage, slammed him up against the fence, and dropped some bombs on him. And he dropped like a sack of potatoes, man.
He's a different level of athlete compared. When you're colliding, one's going to go one way, like inertia.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at Rosenstrike's his previous fights, he was doing that to other people, and then Ngannou said, "No, you ain't doing that to me. I'm doing it to you."
I know Ngannou's style, but what's the other style like?
It's the same style. He bullies people, and he throws big bombs.
So they're more boxing.
Yeah, he's a striker, and he's lethal, man. He is lethal.
Oh, obviously, if he's knocking people out that fast, he's a striker.
Yep. Yeah, but Rosenstrike, so you're going to go with the old school as opposed to the new school on this fight? What are you thinking?
No. This is going to be another fast one, I think.
You think it's going to be a fast one? I kind of agree, because Junior, his chin is very suspect now. I mean, it seems like you touch him and he goes out. And once you get touched like that, it's you don't come back from that. Like even if you waited a long time, you just don't come back from it. Unless
you're Cowboy, somehow that guy can get slept, fall down, wake up.
Why you got to pick on Cowboy?
No, I love Cowboy. He's married to my homegirl. Jen actually got to spar with him before he fought McGregor.
You sparred with a Cowboy?
Hell no, I didn't spar with Cowboy. His kicks crazy. But Jen, they went to one of our boxing clubs because we were home in Amarillo. Because Cowboy, Doug started his pro career in Amarillo with this promotion our friend started. And we grew up with this girl. She's gorgeous. It's Cowboy's wife. I don't know if they're married, but they have a kid. But yeah, he met her there. And so I guess they were home for winter break. And Jen was going in because she had an Invicta, I think she was defending. And it just so happened they were both there. So they just were in the ring just looking pretty. It was just nice defense, catch, throw and catch, not anything, no mouthpiece, just pretty kicks.
He's still one of the most popular fighters in the UFC. There's no doubt about it.
Is he still the most winningest?
Yeah,
was.
I believe he is. Because he can still lose, but you got to catch that win record.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't win the big ones. That's the problem.
Yeah. He's always gotten close, but he gets too nervous. He said that himself. He gets too nervous.
They all say they're going to poop themselves and throw up
McGregor, he got really nervous with McGregor, man. You could tell. he was like a deer in the headlights.
There was a little more issues to that one. That we got a little inside information, but
Well, let's hear it.
and I don't know how true it is because my little buddy likes to embellish a lot. You didn't hear this from me. No, he was nursing a cracked rib.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they were sparring, him and Jin, it was like, and so he was already apprehensive, and then McGregor came out with that technique that it's a boxing technique to bounce off and create space, but not to actually use it as a strike. That was, and he even gave McGregor props for that. That was kind of, I've never seen some.
Yeah, but and I saw that fight. If you look, he didn't just like lift the shoulder up.
No, it's a strike.
He came down and then up with that linear, with the leg and everything, just like a
The hinge.
When you plant your leg, right? You plant
You load it.
Yeah, it was loaded, man. And his nose popped.
And he got caught with a kick first, I think, too.
Yeah, but I know I've been smacked in the nose pretty hard, and when your eyes start to water, you can't see anything, man.
No, I can take a hit in the head all day. You hit me in the nose, I'm going to be like...
Yeah.
No, that's why I like MMA more than boxing, because those boxing gloves will knock me out quick, then take 12 rounds of those glancing blows. Like,
So you're going to go with Rosenstrike. I'm going to go with Rosenstrike as well. Now, next is one of the most anticipated fights on this card, and that's Sean O'Malley, who's the youngster, versus Marlon Vera, who's been around. He was also on the Ultimate Fighter. He came from the Ultimate Fighter as well. Sean O'Malley he's a 12-0 fighter, and Marlon Vera is.
And he is all the hype.
Yeah, and Marlon Vera is 15-6-1. So he's had his ups and downs, but he's been looking really sharp lately. In fact, he lost a fight from his last fight was a split decision. Dong Hugh Dong or something like that. I can't remember his name, but Marlon Vera won that fight. He got robbed on that one. He won that fight, and everybody says so. Even Dana White says so. But Sean O'Malley, he's the golden child, man.
I'm going with O'Malley all day, every day. To destroy Weiland like that was effortless. And the walk away, he dropped the mic.
Well, one thing about Sean O'Malley that I like is he's really long. I mean, that jab he sticks out, it seems like it's like 10 feet long. You're nowhere near him when he hits you, when he touches you with that jab.
Yeah, I'm a shorty. I know that range.
But
I gotta be like, that's why I like the wrestling part of it.
So now Marlon Vera, though, he hasn't been knocked out before. He's never been knocked out, never been TKO'd. He's a pretty tough fighter, and a lot of people are writing him off. They're saying O'Malley's going to
But O'Malley has a nasty ground game too. He will submit you quick. That he hasn't had to really. I think Rogan has a little crush on the youngster too. They both have. But I think was that on the same card as Jen's debut. I think, or it was the one before.
O'Malley?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the same card.
I think it was the one before then.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that was just ridiculous. That little uppercut, just ding ding ding, drop his eyes for a skilled striker like Weiland. Yeah, that range, like you said, was.
Yep. The thing I think is different though is Wineland has also been knocked out several times, and I think his chin is suspect. He's just an old dog in a young man's game. He's still fit. He's still exciting to watch. I like to watch his fights because he moves forward. He's not one of these guys that tries to run away or wrestle or lay and pray. He doesn't do any of that stuff. He's a striker, and that's why he's exciting to watch. But he's been knocked out a lot of times, man.
Yeah, it's like the Orlovsky disease. Once Orlovsky got that first knockout. I mean, Weiland ran the WEC for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, I met Orlovsky in Vegas.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah. He was at a gun show. I went to a gun show and he was there. That dude's a big dude, man.
He's huge.
He's a
All the
big dude.
Who did I meet? Boss Rudin, dang, all those Dutch and Pringley. Do you remember Pringley from back in the day? He's a South African guy. I shook his hand, and I don't have little arms, but he made me look tiny.
Well, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna side with you on this one. I'm thinking Sean O'Malley's gonna beat him, but I don't think it's gonna be a knockout. I think it's gonna go to decision. That's my prediction on it.
I think they're gonna be a lot more. Those first fights were exciting after the whole quarantine because they were just everybody's training was sporadic, and like in the boxing world, all our guys were taking fights everywhere, just what they could get because they knew only X amount of fights. So yeah, Jen was literally eating marshmallows by a campfire when she got the call. She couldn't say no at 35.
No, you can't.
But I go with the old dogs anytime too, though. It gives me hope.
Okay, so you're picking Sean O'Malley with a KO.
I think a KO, or I really want to see what he got on the ground against his formidable opponent.
I would like to see that, and everybody else would, because they always say until you wrestle,
Oh, it's the hardest thing.
that's a hard thing to do. Grappling is a hard thing to do. Okay,
But
so now we move to the main event, and we got Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. Stipe Miocic is 19-3, and Daniel Cormier is 22-2.
Right. These are more even matched, but we got light heavyweight champ and heavyweight of both divisions, and the longest defense of a heavyweight division.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna go with Miocic till I watched the last fight again. And anybody that goes and works that Muay Thai, those leg kicks with the boxing, if you can combine them, it's a beautiful thing. You can't. I've seen people go for a 6-week camp. They're just brawlers, but they come back with that leg kick and their domination.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And the front kick, he'll keep him at range. And he's a wrestler too, so he'll pick you up.
So
And
who are you going to go with on this one?
I really want to go with Miocic, but I've seen so much improvement in the striking of Cormier. And now that he's gone up in weight, his hands are a lot heavier. And that wrestling, like, it is the epitome of all mixed martial arts. It helps me to a certain extent, but the jiu-jitsu is another level too. It gives you half almost.
Well, I think I'm going to predict. I'm going to say Cormier wins this one.
It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a barn burner.
Because I think he's already in Miocic's head. Because in every single interview, Cormier says, "I'm going to wrestle this guy. I'm going to wrestle him. I'm telling you what I'm going to do to him. I'm going to wrestle him, and he ain't going to be able to handle it."
And they're both what, Olympians?
I don't know. Is Stipe an Olympian?
I don't know if it was in wrestling though, but usually they.
Oh, I didn't know that. You may have taught me something.
Yeah, they're both Olympians. But
Steve,
I didn't.
have you seen him though? He's trimmed down. Both of them have trimmed down quite a bit.
I mean, Cormier's trimming down is not that typical, but you don't sleep on anybody.
Nope, not at that level.
Any body type in like boxing or mixed martial arts, you never know.
Yeah.
Like look at the heavyweight Fury in boxing. He doesn't look like an athlete at all, but that funny frame is lethal.
Yeah. Well, Stipe is looking really slim, and to me, the way I look at it, I think Cormier is going to be able to lift him up a lot higher. And
you think he lost too much weight?
I think he looks pretty slim. He looks pretty. I've never seen him that slim before, ever.
There's got to be a strategy behind it then.
Probably speed.
But if you get he'll grab anything grabbed by Cormier. That wrestling, his wrestling is top notch. He's only been taken down by who? Jones, the only man to take him down.
Yep.
If you improve your striking with that wrestling, it's too hard. I don't like the wrestling. Cormier, I used to not be a fan of just because of I'm just going to lay on you and hold you down with my big old panza. I ate at Rovali's.
Come on. Well, I think Cormier wants to go out on top, and they're saying, all the hype is whoever wins this fight is going to be the GOAT of heavyweight, all-time GOAT, greatest heavyweight ever.
Fedor.
Because of how many times, like you said, Stipe defended the belt, but then Cormier being light heavyweight champ and heavyweight champ, and then winning it again on the rubber match. That's crazy.
This fight, it's worth every penny almost, pretty much, because they both have a chip on the shoulder. That first loss, he came back even hungrier, and then to get that rocky start, he almost lost it. So there's no telling that. They're both probably going to come in because he's not going to allow 2 fights to start rocky like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think Stipe has also mentioned in several interviews that he's going to tell the ref about eye pokes.
Cormier, notorious of those?
Because Cormier, he throws out hands. And
they're very
fingers, man, they get you.
They're very common in MMA, but in other mixed martial arts, it's not so common, which I don't know why. Sometimes I think it's a dirty tactic, not with Cormier, but he needs to stay off the fence because if he takes one of those, I don't know, he improved his striking ability a lot.
Yeah, he was beating MIOCIC up before he changed his strategy and started going to the body. He was beating him up.
That's the one thing. If the guy's a little soft, you go for that midsection. I go for the midsection all the time. I tell fighters.
Oh yeah, but he stopped him, man, because it was round 4 when he changed the strategy in Stipe MIOCIC Cormier 2. It was the 4th round because he was losing.
That's too much pride because he's a striker and he's getting outstriked by.
Yeah, getting struck by a wrestler.
That's way too late to change. He got lucky. That was like, skin of his teeth, pull it out. So
yeah, I agree. That's why I think and then the first fight, of course, Cormier knocked him out with that uppercut, man.
If you're a little short wrestler and you can load that, you were a boxer. I know you said you were low level. My mom, she told me you had some skills. This is like racquetball, any loading up that shot.
Yep. If you can plant that leg and follow through, it's just like any martial arts. In fact, I was watching Joe Rogan today, and he said if you take your hand on your palm and you hit the top of your desk, you can hit it all day long, and you can put a lot of power behind it. But if you take that same fist and hit the top of your desk with the knuckles, that hurts. And so when you get people, when you line all that stuff up, that's a solid shot, man. I remember them teaching me that in martial arts. That knuckles got to line up with the wrist, and that whole thing.
It all comes through, and
then when you start with leg,
and then the extension, everything is tough. But yeah, that's one of the easiest and best ways is that little short hook. But that's what the argument is in boxing and mixed martial arts is thumb up, but those are the killers right here.
Yeah.
The 2 first knuckles.
Yeah.
And you don't want the boxer fracture. That hurts so bad. But yeah, those 2 little things quick. That's Tyson 101. Hook. And if that don't kill you over the top with that deadly.
Okay, so this is what we have, and the fight is Saturday. I think it's 7 p.m. The main card starts. It's a pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. Should be a really, really good fight. and
What's your login information? I ain't paying. No.
the prelims looking pretty good. There's a lot of people. I don't like to go over really too many people that I don't know, because what are you going to say about somebody you don't know? But they got a lot of newbies that are coming in, and but they should all be exciting fights, because these guys know they're fighting for so many eyeballs, and it's their chance to get into the UFC and stay in there for a little while and make a little bit of money.
And he's starting to pay a little better. Dana, not too great. I think Doug cornered De La Rosa, Montana, the wife, Mark, in UFC in Australia. That was the first 6-figure contract for a female.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think.
Where was that?
They go, because they travel a lot like we do. They probably travel more than we do. But it was right after Jen's fight, because she went and trained in a camp in Iceland, because Doug's a big kickboxer. He's a good coach, kickboxing coach. But I think it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Right on.
He was still with Genesis. Then he went back with, do you know Will Campazano?
That name sounds familiar.
Little skinny Mowgli from Jungle Book looking guy. He's from Acapulco, but Doug was working with him right before quarantine. He's a good fighter, but Dana did not. He would go do a Grand Prix in Japan, and Dana asked him if he want to fight, and he'd still come. He's game, but he's got a good martial arts school up there. But
that's good.
I'm going to hopefully get up there and try to hang out with them before the fight.
All right. Well, yeah. And you said, hopefully we can line up some other fighters at this gym you're going to. Get them on KnuckleSandwich.
If you want some boxers, that was fun though. Working with like James Kirkland. I was just, my coach and friend brought me in to teach me the ropes but he knows I knew the game, so he started throwing fighters on me. Because the actual strength and conditioning coach is Bebe McClendon, who was the Cowboys' old strength and conditioning coach for their prime Emmett Priest Holmes days. He's with the Spurs. But he doesn't have defense.
Well,
but he'll hit you. He touches you with those 2 knuckles, you get a frog.
Well, I was going to say, I'd like to have you back on the show. But I would like to, the next time I have you on, I'd like to talk to you about, sports medicine and health and that kind of stuff, because I think you bring a wealth of information and experience, to that arena. And that's one of the most important things for athletes, is that nutritional, the diets and the correct way to do exercise, all that kind of stuff that I think you have a real good grasp on. But I'd love to, have you come back and do a show on that. What do you think?
No, we can do another show on anything. I just haven't been watching a lot of MMA, just sports in general. Been focused on a lot of different other things, but
I think that'd be really beneficial for the audience, just to talk about, sports health, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Those dang altitude training masks are still running around. Kids think there's a lot of dangerous weight cuts still, old school. And I'm trying to, I can show you how to fight hurt and not re-hurt yourself, and prehab, things like that.
See, and that's valuable information, and I think that'd be really good. So are you down for that?
I'm down for that. And yeah, next time I have a little more time and not be dead from getting my head kicked a couple times.
And do me a favor and tell Doug and Jen I said hi. And
Sure.
I'd love to try and book them either before her fight in October or after, if they're game.
And even if you want to run this back after the Saturday show, maybe I can get Doug and Jen, and then
hey, that'd be good. Yeah, let's do we'll get them all on Zoom.
I was trying to hit up my boxing coach, because he's a striking coach in general. He does the martial arts. We have a UFC fighter here, but he tore his rotator cuff. He won the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know, Ray Rodriguez, if you've heard of him. He was in San Antonio. But the entertainment company that you might have heard of him, Davies Cruzy Kitchen. He's the largest producer of food trucks in the world.
Nope.
They're like, he's on Discovery Channel. He creates food trucks that just open up like Transformers, like look like old trains. It's really cool. You should look into.
That's cool. What's his name?
Cameron Davies.
Cameron Davies. Okay, I'll look.
Cameron Davies.
Cameron Davies. Got it. I'll look him up.
Yeah.
All right, my nephew. We're gonna cut this off, but try and get those guys to do a post show, and we'll all zoom in together and talk about the fights. That's
the only way I can get a hold of this guy because he's too ADD.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for participating with us, and then we'll do a show.
Yeah, sorry I didn't come a little more prepared. I woke up, taught an English class, and I'm still hurting from yesterday.
No worries, man. But I do want to do just a show on sports medicine, sports diet, that kind of stuff that you bring to the table.
Yeah, I can come with a list of stuff, and you can things like, because a lot of it's applicable to even general population, things like that. Like,
all right.
It's all about longevity and quality of life. So.
All right, everybody. Well, this was Arash Zubin, and he's my nephew, but he's also an extraordinary athlete, and he brings a lot of experience to the table. So we're glad to have him. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys post-fight, and we're going to talk about it. All right. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share KnuckleSandwichMMA.com. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Tell everybody hi for me, and I love them.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Love you all.